What if the first 10 minutes of your morning could shape the next 10 years of your life? Could ancient Stoic wisdom transform your chaotic mornings into a daily ritual of calm, clarity, and inner control? These 12 morning meditations aren't motivational fluff. They're practical tools forged by philosophers to help you master each day with purpose. The truth is, you don't need more hours in a day. You need a stronger, sharper mind to truly command the hours you already have. How many times have you woken up determined to do something meaningful only to end the day asking yourself, what did I even do today? In today's world, we're not short on tools. We're short on inner control. That's what Stoicism gave to people facing chaos, war, and loss over 2,000 years ago. Stoicism doesn't teach you to avoid emotions. It teaches you to master them. It doesn't tell you to run from hardship. It shows you how to use it to forge strength. And it all starts in the morning, where you choose react on impulse or act with intention. In this video, you'll get 12 meditations not to help you think deeper, but to help you live better. If you're ready to own your mindset every morning, keep watching. Don't let tomorrow repeat the same day you wanted to change. Number 1. See the bigger picture. In the morning, you're behind the wheel, waiting at a red light. Cars stretch out in a line that seems endless. The radio hums with headlines, war, financial turmoil, weather alerts. Your nerves tighten like a drawn bowring. Your mind starts racing ahead. I'm going to be late for the meeting. Still haven't replied to those emails. Need to call the insurance company. A car horn jolts you. In the rearview mirror, a grumpy man shakes his head at you. At that moment, it feels like the world is working against you. But imagine zooming out on your GPS farther and farther out. Hundreds, thousands of cars are moving across the country, each with its own reason to rush. Each driver convinced their day is the center of the universe. So why carry the weight like you're the only one struggling? When you see the world from a higher vantage point, not just from an airplane but through awareness, you start to realize that most things that feel huge really aren't. An unanswered email isn't a rejection. A cold stare in a meeting isn't disrespectful. Maybe they're just worried about a sick child at home. Everyone's fighting their own battles. You're not the center of it all, but you are a vital part of it. You don't live in isolation. You're woven into a vast web of influence, connection, and consequence. A small act holding a door, letting someone merge, offering a smile instead of a scowl can soften someone's hard day. Power lives in small intentional choices. You don't need to visit the Grand Canyon or Yosemite for a cosmic perspective. Tomorrow morning, instead of grabbing your phone, step outside for a few minutes. Breathe in the air. Look at the sky. Think of the millions of people starting their day right now, each on a different path, facing similar worries. They don't know your name, but they carry the same burdens. And that quiet sense of shared humanity can rinse the self-centered thoughts from your mind. Here's the strange thing. The smaller you feel, the bigger your soul becomes. You stop striving to win, to prove, to be seen. You just aim to live truthfully. And that's why when your mind opens to that vastness, you're finally ready to face the hardest truth we all share: death. Not to fear it, but to live fully awake. And that is your next meditation. Number 2. Remember you'll die. Monday morning, you wake up 10 minutes late, grope for your phone, open your email, and see a message from your boss. When can we meet? You're already irritated. A few minutes later, you're rushing to make coffee, spill the milk, and now you're even more annoyed. Out on the street, traffic is a mess. Someone on a motorbike cuts you off and you mutter something unkind. The rest of the day you live like you're immortal, like there's always tomorrow to be kinder, more polite, to live better. Stoicism doesn't deal in empty slogans. Memento mori. Remember, you will die isn't a motto. It's a tool. It's not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up. When you truly feel that you'll die, not just understand it intellectually but sense it in your bones, you don't lose your temper over spilled milk. You don't let minor deadlines overshadow a life worth living. There was a man who called his mother every morning just for 2 minutes. One day he got busy and thought, I'll call her tonight. That night she was gone. After that, he kept her photo by his desk, not as a memorial but as a reminder, you don't have as much time as you think. Seneca once said, you fear dying. Yet tell me, is the kind of life you lead really any different from being dead? His words weren't a jab at death, but at sleepwalking through life, living without noticing, without valuing, without doing what matters. Here's one simple way to live with memento mori each morning. Pick one thing you've been putting off. A phone call, an apology, coffee with someone you care about, and do it today. Or write a line. If today were my last, would I be proud of how I'm living? Stick it on your mirror. Read it while brushing your teeth. You don't have to do something grand, just remember who you are. Here's the paradox. The more you accept that everything can vanish, the gentler you become. You stop trying to squeeze meaning out of every second and start appreciating every second. You stop rushing. You start living like someone who doesn't waste the most precious thing they have, time. Now it's your turn. If you only had 24 hours left, what's the first thing you'd do? Share it in the comments. Not to vent, but to remind each other what matters. And if you'd like someone to quietly remind you every morning, hey, don't forget, life's short. Hit subscribe. I'll be right here every day with you. Number 3. Embrace change. When you wake up and look in the mirror, can you say with certainty that the person staring back is still yesterday's version of you? Your hair might not have grown. Your face may look the same. But inside, your thoughts, your emotions, your mindset, everything is in motion. The only constant is change. We tend to think of change as something big. Quitting a job, ending a relationship, moving to a new city. But in truth, it happens every day in the tiniest choices. Coffee or water, patience or irritation, avoidance or confrontation. Every decision is a brushstroke on the canvas of who you are becoming. Epictetus once said, "No man steps in the same river twice, for it is not the same river, and he is not the same man." At first glance it sounds simple, but it's actually a morning wake-up call. You are not who you were yesterday, and life doesn't wait for you to feel ready before it shifts course. The real question is, are you drifting or are you steering? Take a moment to look inward. Are you still clinging to an outdated version of yourself? The one who always fails, always procrastinates, always reacts emotionally? Are you stuck playing a role just because you've memorized the lines? Habit can feel like a safe shelter, but it can also be a golden cage. Morning is when the door swings open. Will you step out? Sometimes it's not our failures, but our past successes that hold us back the most. Yesterday's wins can make us complacent. Yesterday's losses can make us afraid. That's why every morning is a chance to forgive yourself, close the old chapter, and start a new one. You don't need a new month, a Monday, or a new year, just one deep breath, one clear moment. If you want to practice this, try this tomorrow morning. Sit up straight, close your eyes, and ask yourself, who am I today? How would I live if this were the first day of my life with a new mindset? You don't need an answer, just listen. And if you ever doubt your ability to change, remember, a seed doesn't look like a tree. It has to break open to grow. The pain of transformation is not a sign of failure. It's the process of becoming. Once you realize you're breathing, evolving, and holding the power to rewrite everything, you can't help but feel gratitude. That's the next lesson. A quiet meditation on everything you already have, but so often overlook. Number 4. Gratitude for what is. Each morning when you open your eyes, the world is already in motion. The sound of traffic outside, sunlight filtering through your window, and the steady beat of your heart inside your chest. But have you ever paused just for a moment to truly notice them? Not just glance, but really see them. The way a starving person savors every grain of rice on their tongue. Most of us only feel grateful after a loss. But Stoic philosophy offers a different path. Appreciate what you have while you have it, as if it's the last time you'll ever touch it. Have you ever imagined what it's like to suddenly lose your sense of smell? Maybe from a cold, or after CO. A bouquet of flowers, a child's laughter. The smell of morning coffee gone, wiped off the emotional map. You are living what someone else once begged for. A child fighting cancer would give anything for a normal morning, like the one you just scrolled past. So why not stop? Take a deep breath and quietly say to yourself, I'm grateful I'm still here. Seneca once wrote, "You act like mortals in all that you fear and like immortals in all that you desire." We fear death, yet live as if we'll never die. Rushing, impatient, always feeling behind. Are you waiting for something big to feel satisfied? Or have you been missing the small quiet moments that cradle you each morning? Here's a strange truth. Gratitude isn't a result of happiness. It's the cause. When you pause for a few minutes to name 3 things that are present right now, like your hands still moving, your mom still calling to remind you about breakfast, the fan humming through the night, you train your brain to recognize enough, not lack. Try this tomorrow morning before you check your phone. Name 3 specific things you're grateful for. Not just family, but the dinner mom made last night. Not just health, but being able to get out of bed on my own. There's a line in the Bible that captures this practice perfectly. In everything give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerning you. When gratitude becomes your default, you'll realize you don't need much to feel whole. You won't start the day chasing after something. You'll start it grounded in what you already have. And if you're hearing this from a room with a roof, a full belly, and warm feet, then congratulations. You've got everything you need to begin your day with gratitude. If you agree that this alone is enough to make a day meaningful, give a like, not for the video, but as a quiet nod to yourself. I get it, and I won't take this for granted. Number 5. Set clear intentions. Setting an intention isn't just a nice idea or morning fluff. It's a conscious act of choosing who you want to be before the world gets a chance to decide for you. like choosing the soundtrack before stepping on stage. Will it be calm and cool or fiery and bold? A steady symphony or life's random playlist on shuffle? Intention isn't a goal, it runs deeper. You can set a goal like finish replying to emails in 2 hours, but an intention might be, today I won't let stress shape my tone. A friend of mine, a rideshare driver, has a morning ritual. When he starts his car, he whispers to himself, I will be kind even to those who don't deserve it. He says he doesn't always live up to it, but whenever he feels anger boiling up, that sentence flashes through his mind before he says something he might regret. That's what setting an intention does. It plants a seed that grows just enough to stand between your impulse and your action. I tried this once. Before picking up my phone in the morning, I wrote down a single sentence, just one. Today, I won't let others decide my mood. That one line made me pause before snapping at a late delivery guy. It made me breathe instead of firing off a sharp email. One sentence, one choice early in the day, and I had already reset the compass of my mind. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You must build up your life action by action and be content if each one achieves its goal as far as possible. And no one can keep you from this. No one can stop you from starting your day with intention." Strangely though, most of us stop ourselves living on autopilot. When was the last time you consciously chose how you wanted to live a day? Not what to do, but how to be. Your attitude, your presence, your way of showing up in the world. If this still sounds like fluffy mindfulness talk, think again. Meditation isn't about closing your eyes and breathing. It's about opening them and choosing not to be dragged around by life. Try something simple tomorrow morning. Before touching your phone, write down one sentence of intention with a pen by hand, like you're making a pact with yourself. Stick it on your mirror, your wallet, your screen, anywhere you'll see it. So when you feel like snapping, quitting, or reacting without thinking, it's there to remind you, this is my day. I chose how it began. Because if you don't choose your start, you're just continuing. Number 6, control what you can. Every morning, millions of people wake up and instantly get pulled into a battle they never win. They snap at traffic, stress over deadlines, get annoyed at unanswered messages, grumble when it rains. But the truth is, they're not really angry at any of that. They're angry because things aren't going their way. The real problem, they're trying to control what was never theirs to control. Have you noticed this? That most of your daily frustration comes from the belief that you can steer the world. Think about it. You're upset because a coworker doesn't get you. Anxious because your partner hasn't replied in 2 hours. Disappointed that your post didn't get any likes. But when was the last time you truly controlled someone else's thoughts or actions? Epictetus, a former slave turned Stoic philosopher, once said something beautifully simple: some things are up to us and some are not. And only when you clearly draw that line, what's up to you and what isn't, can you start to feel real peace. I once met a rideshare driver named Daniel. One day his app kept crashing. Passengers were grumpy, traffic was brutal, and he was exhausted. He almost lost it, about to curse loudly in the middle of an intersection. But then he paused, took a breath, and played his favorite music in the car. "I can't fix the app," he laughed, "but I can change the music." Just a small moment, but it saved his whole day. So tomorrow morning, before you dive into your day, sit for a minute. Ask yourself, what am I about to carry that doesn't belong to me? Then let it go, like dropping a stone from your backpack. You don't have to carry the whole world to prove your worth. And now we've made it halfway through the day together. That's worth celebrating, not just for your patience, but because you're actually training your mind. Leave a comment. Control myself to mark this moment. The video is not over. More keys to true freedom are coming. Stick around. Only when all 12 pieces come together will you see the full picture. Number 7. Anticipate challenges. Most people start their day with a soft illusion. Today should be fine. But just a few hours in, a blunt message from a client, an offhand comment from a loved one, or simply a motorbike refusing to start when you're in a rush. Any of those can throw your mood off a cliff. The problem isn't bad luck. It's that we rarely train ourselves to calmly receive it. The Stoics called this premeditatio malorum, preparing for what might go wrong. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly." Some people read that and say, why so negative? But it's not pessimism, it's preparation. Like a soldier who doesn't head into battle expecting peace but ready for war. It might sound harsh, but if you've ever fumed just because someone cut in line or because of a snide comment online, then you already know the power of mental readiness. Not to avoid being hurt, but to avoid being ruled by it. Once I overheard an old woman at the supermarket say, "It's not raining today, but I brought my umbrella anyway. Not because I'm afraid of getting wet, but because I don't want to complain." That's stoicism in a sentence. Practical, grounded, and zero fluff. You can start practicing this every morning by imagining 3 little things that might go wrong. Don't dramatize it. Just simple annoyances. A colleague might be unreasonable. Your favorite lunch spot might be closed. Your phone might drop the signal during an important call. Once you've mentally walked through those scenarios, it's like your mind has already had a morning briefing and nothing catches you off guard. You might even smile when it happens because you saw it coming. No one's asking you to be hard or closed off. But if you keep letting small things control your mood, you're basically handing over the reins of your mind to the weather, the Wi-Fi, and other people's moods. Is it worth it? And once you accept that challenge as a given, another question naturally follows. If no one owes you anything, why do you keep expecting the world to treat you fairly? We'll get to that next. Number 8. No one owes you anything. There's a deeply unsettling feeling that creeps in when you treat someone kindly and get nothing in return. When you reach out to someone in their low moments, only to find no one checks in when it's your turn to feel drained. When you pour yourself into a relationship while the other person stays distant, that feeling can quickly harden into resentment or sadness. And from there, you may fall into an invisible trap. The belief that someone owes you kindness, attention, or care. But the truth is, no one owes you anything. No one was born to meet your expectations. The world doesn't work on a tit-for-tat basis. It just works. Rain doesn't fall because you're sad. The sun doesn't rise to cheer you up. If you keep living with the belief that people must act the way you want, you'll always feel like a puppet pulled by emotions, reactions, disappointments based on things completely outside your control. Think back to the last time you got angry. Maybe a colleague didn't reply to your email or your partner left your message unread. But the real question is, what were you expecting from them? And why were they supposed to meet that expectation? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Don't be surprised when a fig tree produces figs. A fig tree doesn't bear oranges or apples." People too behave according to their nature, their circumstances, and their beliefs, not the script you've written in your head. Here's a simple practice. Each morning, think of someone who recently let you down. Pause your judgment. Instead, write down the expectations you placed on them, then cross them out one by one. That's when you begin to reclaim a rare kind of freedom. You're no longer controlled by others. You begin to control yourself. You stop waiting for responses and start acting from a place of principle, not a need to be seen. There's an unexpected relief in giving up the urge to demand. When you expect nothing, every act of kindness becomes a gift. When someone shows up for you, you're grateful. When they don't, you're not shaken. That's the Stoic ideal. Inner calm in an unpredictable world. But be careful. Living without expectations doesn't mean closing off or growing cynical. It's not an excuse to become hard or distant. It's how you stop being a prisoner of wounded feelings. You still love, still give, but without getting stuck in the question, why didn't they respond? A strong mind starts by dropping the victim role. And if you begin your day grounded in this mindset that no one owes you kindness, attention, or recognition, you move through life more intentionally. You learn when to give, when to hold back, and how to set clear boundaries, not to push people away, but to protect what matters. Number 9, define your boundaries. You're brewing coffee in the morning, enjoying a quiet moment. Then your phone buzzes. A message from a coworker. Can you join the meeting a bit early? Part of you wants to say no. You had planned to read. Or maybe you're just not ready to talk to anyone yet, but you reply. And just like that, your morning no longer belongs to you. We often think of mastering our mind as something big, like staying calm in an argument or staying positive through adversity. But really, it starts with the small stuff. Every time you say yes when you really don't want to, you're renting out space in your mind for free. You don't need to be rude or cut people off, you just need to learn one short, powerful, freeing word: no. Setting boundaries isn't about rejecting others, it's about honoring yourself. It's like putting your brain on do not disturb. When you let people interrupt you anytime, their urgency tramples your intention. Boundaries protect that quiet place in your head where clarity forms, emotions settle, and good decisions are made. Picture your mind as a coffee shop. If there's no closed sign, no takeout only hours, people will come in all day, place orders, leave messes, and go. You'll be too drained to clean up, let alone make yourself a decent cup. Surprised? The person who says yes the most isn't always the kindest. Sometimes they're just the most afraid to choose themselves, afraid to admit their cup is already empty. Try this tomorrow before checking texts, opening your calendar, or touching your inbox. Ask yourself, what do I want to keep for myself this morning? Claim it first. Not when you're free, not at the end of the day. First. Because if you don't, make space for yourself, someone else will take it. Sound familiar? If this speaks to you, drop a yes in the comments. And if you've ever navigated these blurry boundaries in your own way, share your story. you might just help someone else learn how to hold on to themselves. Number 10. Don't follow the crowd. Have you ever paused in the middle of a crowd and asked yourself, where am I going? And is this really the path I chose? This morning, before you rush to check your phone, before the world pours its standards of success into your head, take a moment to sit still and ask, how many of the things I'm chasing are truly mine? Here's a strange truth. The more people chase something, the more we assume it must be worth chasing. But the crowd isn't always right. Many people buy luxury cars not because they need them, but because they're afraid of looking poor. Many choose careers not out of passion, but because their parents once said, that has a future. Have you ever made a choice just to avoid being judged? Stoic philosophy doesn't tell you to rebel against the crowd. It reminds you not to let the crowd think for you. Epictetus once wrote, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Are you willing to be seen as a fool? To walk away from what others call desirable in order to live by your own values? Most people go through life without ever asking, who am I really living for? They drift like kites going wherever the wind blows. And sadly, many only realize they're lost once they're far from the path that was truly meant for them. It's a paradox, but sometimes courage means turning away from what the whole world applauds. Not because it's wrong, but because it's not yours. If there's only one thing you do each morning, take 2 minutes in silence. Close your eyes and ask, if no one were watching, if no one were judging, how would I live differently today? The moment you answer honestly is the moment you lay the first brick on your own path. Just look at history. In the Bible, Jesus stood up, spoke out, and lived differently even when the entire Jewish society of his time stood against him. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Awakening begins when you dare to do what's right, even if it means walking alone. So, when you feel yourself drifting with the crowd, do one thing, in reverse. If everyone's scrolling on their phone in the morning, turn yours off and write down 3 things you truly believe. If everyone says stay quiet, speak up for what you know is right. Just one small act a day can remind your mind you are not a copy. Number 11, remember your ethics. You don't need a medal to live with integrity. You don't need applause or approval or recognition. To the Stoics, morality isn't a performance, it's the foundation. It's what keeps you grounded when everything around you is falling apart. Each morning you remind yourself of your values. Not to become a good person, but to stay true to yourself when the small, seemingly harmless choices creep in. A convenient lie, a silence when you should speak up, a dismissive shrug instead of listening. In real life, morality isn't flashy. It shows up in the moments no one sees. When you don't snap back at the person who cut in line. When you don't gossip about your boss just because someone invites you to. When you still do your job well even if no one notices. You don't live rightly for bonus points. You do it because otherwise you won't be able to look yourself in the mirror. Think of the 4 core Stoic virtues as the steering wheels that keep your soul from drifting off course. Wisdom to see what's worth doing. Courage to do it even when you're afraid. Justice to treat others fairly, even when it's inconvenient. And temperance to keep greed and desire from taking the wheel. You don't need lofty philosophy. You just need to start with small specific acts. Replying with the apology you meant to send. Not interrupting when someone's speaking. Not faking busy to avoid responsibility. Small things like stones. But enough stones build strength. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Short, but enough to check yourself every single day. The question is, how many of your choices yesterday would you be proud to remember? Living with integrity won't make life easier, but it will make you stronger for the hard parts. You won't be spared betrayal, misunderstanding, or unfairness, but you won't be thrown off course by them either. And in time, you'll realize this. There's nothing more rewarding than walking forward with a clear conscience. And if you believe this world needs more quiet examples of people choosing to live right, share this video. Not for recognition, but to quietly pass on something small that might just change how someone begins their day. Number 12. Discipline is freedom. What time did you wake up this morning? And what are the odds you hit that snooze for 5 more minutes button? Big changes often begin with moments like that. There's no grand battle, just you and a warm blanket. And usually the blanket wins. But Stoicism doesn't care for flashy victories. It teaches us to win the quiet battles. The ones no one sees, no one applauds, but that define who you are. Discipline sounds like a stern teacher with a ruler in hand, but really it's a silent friend pulling you back on track every time you're about to drift off course. It's not about forcing yourself. It's about saving yourself from the easy temptations that masquerade as rewards. A piece of cake at 1000 p.m. Postponing an apology call, or a YouTube tab popping open in the middle of work. You don't need anyone else to sabotage your goals. Lack of discipline is enough. A friend of mine once set an alarm for 5 a.m. to go to the gym. He said, "I left my workout clothes right by the bed, so the first thing I did every morning was step on my shoes." And at that point, there was no turning back. That's Stoicism. Not about dreaming of ideals, but clearing the path for right action. Discipline is designing your environment so that the right thing becomes easier to do and the wrong thing harder. Want to read more? Put a book on your pillow, not your phone. It's strange. The more we follow our impulses, the more trapped we feel by moods, urges, that frustrating sense of not being in control of ourselves. But the disciplined person is the one who knows when to say no to themselves. A small act of resistance at 700 a.m. can redirect the entire day. No one sees it, but you do. And so does your self-respect. Have you ever asked yourself, am I truly free? Or just being dragged around by emotion and laziness like a puppet? Discipline doesn't demand that you suffer. It just asks you to be a little braver. Brave enough to turn off Netflix at midnight. Brave enough to get up without applause. Brave enough to keep your promises even when no one's watching. Tomorrow morning, instead of asking, what do I feel like doing? Try asking, what do I know is right? And do I have the guts to do it? If the answer is yes, you've already won. Not the world, but yourself. And that's the most meaningful victory there is. We've just explored 12 Stoic morning meditations. 12 ways not only to start the day, but to start yourself anew. These aren't lofty doctrines, but grounded practical guides for real people. People with chaos, emotions, temptations, and everyday struggles. From accepting that no one owes us anything to setting boundaries with courage to building discipline as a true expression of freedom, each principle is a reminder. You can choose a different way to live, calmer, clearer, more in control. And it all begins with a few quiet minutes in the morning. A pause, a deep breath, a question to ask yourself today. Will I react the way I always have, or live like the person I'm becoming? Stoicism doesn't promise a life free of problems, but it gives you the tools to face them. Not to escape life, but to meet it head on without being swept away. If you found yourself nodding along, if something stirred inside that made you want to shift, even just a little, then maybe this video spoke to exactly what you needed. If it helped you and you haven't hit like yet, do it now. Not just to support this content, but to help it reach someone else who might need this reminder too. And subscribe, because more grounded, meaningful content is on the way. This isn't philosophy for a bookshelf. It's philosophy for life. And life starts tomorrow morning.